everyone, I'm Ashley. Welcome to the Nourishing Generations Cooking Show. I'm here today with Chef Skylar. How's it going, Skylar?
Hi everyone, I'm Chef Sky. I'm really happy to be here with you today. It's going wonderful, Ashley.
Well, Chef Skylar, I'm really excited about our class today because this recipe is special. It includes all 5 food groups. So chefs, before we get started today, the first thing we always need to do before we cook in the kitchen is to wash our hands. So everyone head to the sink and wash those hands for 20 seconds. Washing your hands is important, but especially now, we are learning a lot during COVID-19 how important it is to wash our hands before we prepare or eat our foods. So Chef Skylar, now that we are ready to cook, can you tell us a little bit about the recipe today?
Today we're going to be chefs making veggie pizza. I love making veggie pizza because, well, I've been a pizza chef all my life. I love working with dough. It's a delicious food that everybody loves. And if you use healthy ingredients, pizza can actually be quite healthy for you. So today we're going to focus on making pizza with healthy ingredients. We're going to get to work with dough, and we're going to even learn how to chop some veggies with knives properly. So I'm really excited to get going.
That sounds great. I love pizza too, especially when pizza can be healthy because you cook it yourself. One of my favorite things is putting lots of yummy toppings on pizza. So today we get to add lots of vegetables to our pizza as well as some nice gooey cheese. This is how we end up with all 5 food groups in this one yummy and delicious meal. So why is it important to have all the 5 food groups, you might ask? Well, that's simple. All the 5 food groups help build healthy bodies and smart minds and give us energy to do all the things we love. Can anyone out there name one of the 5 food groups? Well, let's go over them together so we all know what they are. The first one is whole grains. We also have protein, fats, vegetables, and fruits. Now, once we have these 5, we don't want to forget, we also want to remember to drink lots of water to wash it all down. All right, so I think we're ready to make some pizza.
One of the first and most important things when we're cooking any recipe is to get all of our ingredients and equipment together. There's a French term in the cooking world for this. It's called mise en place. Now, you don't have to remember that word, but what it means is everything in its place. And that's the idea behind it, is that if we have everything ready to go before we start cooking, it makes the cooking process much smoother. So today, we don't have very much equipment we need, but let's make sure we've all got it. We're all gonna need a cutting board. Yours might not be a big wooden one like mine. Any cutting board's fine. You're gonna need a knife. Mine is a big chef's knife. You might have a little knife at home. Any knife will be fine for this, whatever you feel comfortable using. You're gonna need a cheese grater. Any kind of cheese grater will do. This is a big box grater, but we're gonna show you how to safely use it a little bit later on. And you'll need a pan, a cookie sheet to cook your pizza on. The main piece of equipment when you are cooking pizza is your hands. Now, we will also need a little spoon later just to put the sauce onto the pizza, so maybe grab yourself a little spoon as well. Another part of mise en place is making sure that our oven is ready to go. If we're going to be cooking anything in the oven, baking it, then we need to make sure to preheat our oven beforehand. You don't want to put a pizza or any baked good into a cold oven. You want to have it already completely hot at the temperature you want it before you put it in. So we are going to preheat our oven to 450 degrees. Once we've done that, we're ready to continue. Ingredients wise, we have more things to deal with today. So in pizza, the first thing we start with is our dough. Now, we may have gone to the store and bought some dough, or we may have made our dough at home. Here I have some that I've purchased, a bit of pizza dough. So we're gonna need our dough. With the dough, we're gonna need flour to work with the dough. So I've got a bowl of flour here ready to go. We're gonna need our sauce. Any sort of tomato sauce will do, but usually with pizza you go for ones that have less flavoring. So not the roasted garlic pizza sauce, but just the basic tomato sauce. And then we go with whatever veggies we want on our pizza as well. Now, of course, we're gonna need mozzarella cheese, so I've got a block of that ready to go. But what veggies are we working with? Well, today I've got a red bell pepper, I've got an onion, I've got some mushrooms, I've got some black olives, and then I've got spinach and some fresh herbs, basil and oregano. Fresh herbs are great on pizza, and the basil is going to go on the end after we cook the pizza. So if we've got all our equipment together, we've got our pizza sauce, we've got our flour, and we've got all our veggies ready to go, then we're ready to start cooking.
So Skylar, which of the 5 food groups does the first ingredient in our recipe come from today?
Well, Ashley, today our first food group is going to be whole grains. There's lots and lots of flour in the pizza dough.
That's so great. I love pizza dough. Whole grains are so important for us. They include wheat, rice, corn, barley, millet, and my personal favorite whole grain is quinoa. Rice and quinoa are great. They're often eaten whole, but other grains like wheat are milled into a flour so we can make things like breads and tortillas, pasta, and of course today our pizza crust. It is better to eat more whole grains, which are really packed full of nutrients, including protein, fiber, B vitamins, antioxidants, and even some trace minerals. And we want to try to limit the amount of refined grains. These grains are usually broken down and they remove some of the nutrients, so we want to use those sparingly, and we often find those kind of refined grains in things like cookies and cakes. So, Skylar, how do we make our dough today?
So, we're probably going to start with dough looking something like this. And we need to turn this into a pizza. So, we start with a generous amount of flour. Put some flour down on your counter. This is where you're going to want a nice big surface. It's probably going to get dirty, so just be prepared to clean up later. That's part of the fun of it. Don't hold back. We can use plenty of flour in this part. We want to coat the dough with it a lot, okay? We start around the outside, and this is called pounding the dough. Basically, you're pushing your fingers through the dough, trying to spread it. And that's the key to remember, is you're trying to push through the dough. If you're just pushing on the dough like this, it comes right back. But watch now, when you push all the way through to the table, you're really getting it to spread. Leave a little bit at the edge so you have a crust, right? Remember? But keep on spreading it, pushing through like this. Opening up the pizza dough. You might get some bubbles on the edge like there. Those will be delicious if you like bubbles in your crust. If not, you can pop them just like that. Once it's opened a little bit, this is where I like to pick the pizza dough up and let gravity do a little bit of the work for me. Stretching it over my knuckles like this. It's going to get nice and thin. It's going to get nice and big. Look how far we're stretching that pizza dough. And your knuckles will tell you if you can feel the dough getting too thin. That's when you move to a new spot and start stretching somewhere else. I've always said that pizza dough speaks to you, but the way that you hear pizza dough is not with your ears, it's with your hands. So listen to the dough, get it to a nice thin pizza crust like that, and then we're going to put that crust right onto our cooking sheet. And that is where we're going to cook our pizza.
Whole grains are an important food group. Why? Because they give us quick energy that helps our bodies run. Or you can think of it like lighting your own little fire. The fuel from whole grains burns slow and lasts a lot longer. So we need whole grains for sustainable energy that we can use to do all the fun things we like to do, like ride bikes or even play soccer. So what's next, Chef Skylar?
The first ingredients that we're going to be putting onto our pizza are sauce and cheese. Now sometimes cheese comes in a bag already grated, but sometimes you have a block of cheese like this. So that's when we need to use a grater. And graters are generally safe if you use them properly, but you can hurt yourself on them if you don't use it properly. So the proper way to use a grater is to start with a small piece of whatever you're using. This is a large chunk of cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and start with half of my chunk of cheese here. I know I'm not going to use the whole thing on this pizza. Now, this is the side of the grater that we're going to be using. There are 4 different sides. One for making large slices, one for grating cheese, one for making small slivers, shreds, and one for making large shreds like this. That's the size I want for my pizza. Now, there's 2 things to keep in mind when using a grater. What you're doing with your left hand is holding it steady so that it doesn't flop around on the table. What you're doing with your other hand, that is assuming you're right-handed. That's of course reversed if you're left-handed. In your other hand, you're going to take your cheese and you're going to start shredding. You want to leave some space between your fingers and the shredder. And the main thing you want to watch out for is your fingernails. So when you're shredding, keep your fingernails in. That way, if any bit of your finger touches the shredder, it's not your fingernail. Now let me show you something. This shredder is not very sharp. I can run my hand along that and it doesn't hurt, okay? But a fingernail, that can get stuck. So your hand is pretty safe. Go nice and slow and be careful, watching out, not letting your fingers get too close. Go nice long swipes like this along the grater. And you'll see very shortly that we have some nicely grated cheese here. Now push this last little bit through, give it a tap, and look at that. A nice pile of freshly grated mozzarella ready to go onto our pizza. After we have our cheese grated, we're ready to put our sauce and our cheese on our pizza. Let's pull out our pizzas that we made before. Our doughs should be nice and ready to go, like this. I've got a bowl of sauce here, and I've got a spoon. Now you don't want to put too much sauce onto your pizza because then it comes out soggy. So a nice thin layer, spread almost to the edge, just like this. And that is going to be plenty of sauce right there. If we do more than that, it's not going to come out crispy. After we have our sauce on and it looks like this, a little crust around the edge, we're going to go back to our cheese and we're going to spread it nice and evenly across the top. Now, some people like a lot of cheese on their pizza. Some people don't like as much cheese on their pizza. I don't think that you can go wrong with too much cheese, but the way that mine looks right here, this is a really good amount of cheese. If you do a lot more than this, your pizza is going to be really heavy. And if you do much less than this, the sauce might burn. So shoot for a nice thin, even layer like I've got here. If you really like cheese, you can put a little bit more, but try to make it look as similar to this as you can. And then the next step is going to be getting our toppings on.
Wow, Skylar, that looks so delicious, and all of us really love cheese. And cheese is a special ingredient. It's part of 2 food groups, both protein and fat. These food groups like to work together, so they're often found in many of the same foods. Protein builds muscles and bones. It provides building blocks to make you grow and keep strong. Did you know that protein can come from both plants and animals? What are some other protein foods that you like to eat? Protein can come from eggs, fish, meats like turkey and chicken or beef, milk and yogurt and cheese, also tofu, beans, and peanut butter. So besides just protein, that cheese is also filled with healthy fats. Yes, fat can be healthy. It's very healthy for our brain, and it also makes us feel nice and full after we eat our food, so we don't eat too much of it. Fat can provide slow, steady energy, and it helps us think clearly and do well in school. Fat also helps things taste better. So some of our favorite foods that have fat in them taste really yummy, like bacon. So what are some other foods that are high in these healthy fats? They can be nuts, olives, coconut, oils, like olive oil or avocado oil, You can also find these healthy fats in meats, eggs, and of course, cheese, like on our pizza. Now, there are some bad fats out there. We want to try not to eat too many of those. So there are different kinds of fats, and bad fats are usually modified or hydrogenated in a lab, and so they're not a natural fat anymore. So we want to be careful to avoid these fats, which are often found in fried foods and processed foods at the store. So now that we have the cheese on the pizza, Skylar, what are we going to do next?
The next thing we're going to do is put our toppings on our pizza. This is going to be a ton of veggies, and we're going to get to work with knives and learn how to cut the veggies properly. So I'm going to show you some safety techniques with knives now, and then we're going to get to practice what we've learned on chopping some veggies.
Yay! Vegetables are my favorite food group. I'm so glad we're adding these to our pizza. Vegetables give us vitamins, minerals, fiber, and even some water. The nutrients in vegetables help our body to use the other good stuff that comes out of the other food groups, like whole grains, protein, and fat. Did you know there are several different kinds of vegetables? There's leafy vegetables like spinach and collard greens and kale, crunchy vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and root vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and beets.
When we're working with knives, there are a few safety things to keep in mind that if we practice these techniques, we will be safe when we're using the knives. The first thing is when you're not using a knife, it stays face down on your cutting board like this. There's no reason to be walking around with a knife or to be touching it when we're not ready to use it. Once we're ready to chop our vegetables, we need to think about what we're doing with each of our hands. So, with our left hand, what do? Well, we get a vegetable. Today I'm going to start with, a mushroom. And with our left hand, we make the shape of a claw, like this, with our fingers inwards. We use that claw to hold our vegetable in place. What you might want to do is keep your fingers out like this to hold the vegetable, which is a little easier to hold. But when you come in with your knife, you can hit your fingers. If you have that claw, your knuckles will guide the knife and you won't chop your fingertips. Now that we know what to do with our left hand, what do we do with our right hand? This is the hand that we hold the knife with. To pick up the knife, you start by putting one finger right here on the base of the knife. Then your thumb grabs the other side, so you're pinching it like this. These three fingers come around the handle like this, and that's how you hold the knife. If we do that with our right hand, and with our left hand, we keep our claw, we will be very safe when using the knife. Now there's one last thing before we get started, and that is when you're chopping a vegetable, you always want to have a flat surface to chop on. So you see I removed that bit of the mushroom so it's flat. If I have a bell pepper and it's rolling around, I would want to chop that in half so it's flat, you see? And then when we cut, we push away from ourselves, just like this, slicing through the vegetable. So remember those things. Your left hand is a claw. Remember how to hold the knife with your right hand. Flat surface to cut on. And the fourth thing, pushing away from yourself. If you keep those 4 rules in mind while you're cutting veggies, you'll be very safe. So now that we've learned a bit about knife safety, let's practice on some of these vegetables here, shall we? Let's start by finishing up this mushroom. You see how I keep my left hand in the shape of a claw, and I use that hand technique to hold the knife with my right hand. Pushing through the veggie away from myself, it's very easy to make nice, thin slices while my knuckles protect my fingers. Look at that, that's a beautifully chopped mushroom. Why don't you go ahead and try and chop a mushroom now? If you don't like mushrooms, that's okay. We don't have to put that on our pizza. We want to put on things we like. Me, I really like red onions on my pizza. So I've got a bit of red onion here. I'm going to do the same thing. Do you see how I have half an onion? I chopped it in half so it would be a flat surface, so it doesn't roll around like a whole big round onion does. Look at my claw on my left hand. Pushing away from myself, I'm able to make nice, thin slices of red onion. I don't want too much onion on my pizza, so that's going to be enough for me right there. When we're chopping olives, the main thing to remember is that they are round. So, just like an onion or a pepper, we're going to cut it in half first. I'm going to pinch it between my fingers like this, put my knife right over the top like that, and cut it in half. Now we've got a nice flat surface to cut on, and our olive won't roll around while we're trying to cut it. See? After you've done that, all you've got to do is remember your claw and remember how to hold your knife, pushing away from yourself. It's very easy to cut the olive into nice little pieces like this. If you want a challenge, you can try doing 2 at once like I'm doing here. And we've got a beautifully chopped olive. The other veggie that I'm going to put onto my pizza today is red bell pepper. Earlier we cut the pepper in half so we have a nice flat surface. But peppers are still kind of weird to cut. So what I like to do with a pepper is cut it into smaller pieces first. It's still round, but you see this allows us to create many flat surfaces. And you can kind of push it down and kind of make it flat. You see? Like that. We're not going to use that much bell pepper. So push it down, make it nice and flat. And remember to push away from yourself. Just like this. Just like we did with the other veggies. But this one you have to go slow and be extra careful because the skin is thick, so it's easy for the knife to slip. If you're not careful, your knife can slip like this. But if you're careful and you go nice and slow and push away from yourself, the knife will go right through. And then you've got some nice little pieces like that you can put on your pizza if you want. My spinach is right here, but I don't think I'm going to chop my spinach. That's going to go on just as it is. Now that I'm done with my knife, I'm going to put it down on the cutting board because I don't need it anymore. But we've still got oregano and basil here. Let's make a little room on our cutting board. When you're working with fresh herbs, you want to take them off of the stem. You see there's leaves and the stem. It's very easy to remove it from the stem. You just grab it and pull the leaves off like that, and it comes off nice and easy. Let's go ahead and take our leaves off of our stems right now for the fresh herbs that we're using. The same thing with the basil. The basil leaves are much bigger, so it's even easier to remove those from the stem. Look at that, beautiful fresh herbs. These can be torn up with just our fingertips. We don't need our knife at all for this part. Let's just use our fingers like this and tear up our fresh veggies, our fresh herbs. Now the basil is going to go on the pizza later, so I'm going to keep it separate because I don't want to cook the basil. Nice big pieces of basil. Beautiful. Now we are ready to put our veggies onto our pizza.
Wait, Skylar, but we didn't put any fruit on our pizza. I don't see pineapple.
Well, actually, Ashley, believe it or not, there are multiple fruits on this pizza. Olives are special because they are a vegetable and also a fruit because they contain a pit. So technically, while we think of them as vegetables, they're actually part of the fruit family. Not to mention, olives also contain healthy fats, like we learned about earlier. So olives are both a fruit and a healthy fat. That's where olive oil comes from. Also, we have tomato sauce. And tomatoes, even though we think of them as vegetables, are actually fruits as well. So we've got olives on our pizza, and we've got tomatoes on our pizza. And no, it's not pineapple, but those are members of the fruit family.
Wow, that's so cool that we even have fruit on our pizza, because fruit is the 5th food group. And I bet for a lot of the young chefs out there, fruit might be their favorite of the food groups. Fruits are naturally sweet. They give us plant super nutrients like vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that help fight disease. They're also full of fiber to help keep our tummies happy, and they have water to keep us hydrated as well. Can anyone out there name some of your favorite fruits? I think my favorite fruit is either bananas or strawberries. Other fruits include oranges, kiwis, apples, and then don't forget those sneaky fruits like tomatoes, olives, cucumbers, and even peppers. So did you know, a little fun fact, how can you tell the difference between what's a fruit and what's a vegetable? Fruits contain seeds, while vegetables can consist of roots, stems, and leaves. That's how to know the difference.
When we're topping our pizza, it's important to put the veggies on in the right order because some of them will burn if they're on top. So let's pull out our doughs that we made earlier. Now they've got the sauce and cheese on them, and this should look like this. We're going to start with the oregano, the other herb that we used earlier. The basil is going to go on after it cooks, but the oregano should go right now on top of the cheese. Just a little bit like that is plenty. The next ingredient we want to add is our mushrooms. Mushrooms have a lot of moisture in them, so you don't want too many on your pizza. Otherwise it can get kind of wet. So I'm just going to put a few around the edge like that. Next, I'm going to put my onions. I like a lot of onions, so I'm going to put them all over the pizza. We've got our olives. We're going to put some of those on our pizza as well. And then the spinach is going to go on top because if it's not on top, it gets very, very wet. Spinach cooks down, so I'm going to put quite a bit of it like this. And that pizza is looking like it is ready to go into the oven.
Okay, great. So now that the pizza's in the oven, let's see what fun fitness activity Holly has for us today.
Hi kids, I'm Holly Caliero. I'm the physical activity educator here at Nourishing Generations, and today you're going to learn about why physical activity is good for you and your immune system. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Who's It, What's It Thingamajig to teach you all a little bit about movement, circulation, and your lymph system.
Hello, children. I'm Dr. Wendell Who's It, What's It Thingamajig. And today I will be talking to you a little bit about why exercising is important to your health. As you know from your nutritionist today, eating lots of fruits and vegetables is very important for keeping our bodies healthy and fighting viruses. But did you know that exercising is equally important? One of the main ways that exercising is good for our bodies is that it keeps our hearts healthy. Now, children, many of you probably know that you have a heart, but you may not know all that it does for you. Your heart is a pump. It pumps blood filled with oxygen from your lungs to all areas of your body. Your blood also carries all the nutrients from the healthy foods you eat and the water you drink to all of your cells throughout your body. It is very important to keep your pump strong and healthy. This will boost your immune system, help you to have energy, and help you to feel good all of the time. Another way that exercise is beneficial for your body is that it is good for your lymphatic system. Now, children, I bet most of you have never even heard of this system. Your lymph system is essentially your body's drainage system. While your heart pumps your circulatory system, your lymph system has no pump and relies entirely upon the movement of your body to keep it flowing. If you think of your circulatory system like the tap to your sink, the lymph is like the drain. And as you know, it's very important to keep your drain from getting blocked up. We all know what that's like when the kitchen sink gets backed up. I mean, let's be real here. So it's very important to keep this system functioning and flowing properly. And one of the main ways to keep this system healthy and functioning properly is lots of physical movement. Other ways to benefit your lymph system are to drink lots and lots of water and to eat red foods such as cherries, strawberries, pomegranates, watermelons, beets, red bell peppers, raspberries. Don't forget raspberries, children. Red foods are especially beneficial for the lymph system. So remember, children. What are we remembering? Oh yes, so remember, children, in addition to eating a diet filled with rainbow fruits and vegetables, it is very important, it is extremely important to the health of your body to get lots of exercise to keep your heart strong and your lymph system flowing. Thank you.
Hey kids, are you ready for some totally awesome 80s aerobics? I know I sure am. Now I'm sure you've noticed that I'm not wearing any spandex. Well, unfortunately, my leotard happens to be at the dry cleaners. But I did come prepared wearing my sweatbands because we are gonna work it. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's have you start out by marching. Now, while we're doing aerobics, one of the most important things is to keep moving the whole time, keep your heart rate up and your muscles moving, okay, and building. So, if it takes you a few minutes to catch on to the movement we're doing, just march while you're doing it. Okay, so let's have you go ahead and move your feet apart, bend your knees, and we're gonna breathe in and up, and out and down. Breathe in, and out, and in, and out. All right, walk it out. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna do a slide from side to side with some jazz hands like this. Slide, 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 slide. Now join me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, march it out. Good job. Okay. Then next, we are gonna do some hops from side to side with our knee up and our hands raised. We're gonna do opposite knees on each side, okay? Hop, hop, up, hop, hop, up, hop, hop, up, hop, hop, up. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Work it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, march it out. Okay, good job. Okay, our next move is gonna be, we're gonna raise our knee and do some bicep curls, alternating sides, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Work it. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, walk it out. Good job, guys. Next, we're gonna do some side lunges and punch our arm down at the same time, okay? Just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Good job. Okay, march it out, march it out. We're gonna move on to windmills. So you're gonna raise your hands up to your head, and then you're gonna pull up your opposite knee and do your best to touch your opposite toe. It's okay if it doesn't touch, just remember to pull with your lower abs and not with your shoulders, okay? All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, good job. Walk it out. Okay, so we're gonna slow it down a little. We're gonna do some low back kicks with forward punches. Now for this move, don't worry about lifting your leg high. We're gonna be working our lower back muscles and our gluteus maximus, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right, good job. Okay, we're getting near the end of our workout here. So, our next move is going to be a sideways curl, okay? With our knee and our arm. So, what you're gonna do is you're gonna balance on one leg, bend the knee, put your hand on that hip. Then with your opposite side, you're gonna pull your arm down and your knee up. You wanna make sure you're using your core and your abs. Now, if you can't balance, go ahead and lean on something that's nearby, like a chair or a table, okay? Because we don't want you to fall over. All right, let's do it. 1, 2, work it. 3, 4, push it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now switch sides. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. Okay, walk it out. All right, we're gonna start to cool it down. We're almost done. We're gonna do some toe taps from side to side with our hands just on our hips, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay. All right then, walk it out real slow. We're gonna cool it down. We're gonna do some cool down breathing just like we did at the beginning. So let's put your feet apart, bend those knees. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. All right, good job today, you guys. Well, I hope you had fun today. I hope you got your heart rate up, worked it, burned some calories, and built some muscle today with me. I definitely had fun. Thank you so much for participating, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye!
Wow, what a great exercise break. Thanks, Holly. Wow, I bet you guys are really thirsty. I am. Let's make sure we grab some water. In order to wash down this yummy pizza we're about to eat, it's important that we drink plenty of water, which will help us take in all the nutrients from the different 5 food groups. Make sure you drink plenty of water every day. Water may be the most important partner for all of our food groups. Our bodies, like the earth, are made mostly of water, so we need to make sure we drink plenty of water every day to stay healthy. So let's do a quick recap on what we've learned today about the food groups. Looking at our pizza and the ingredients, we have whole grains, which are used to make pizza dough, protein and fat in the yummy cheese. Our veggies are all over the toppings of the pizza, and there's even a few fruits snuck in there too, with the tomato sauce, olives, and peppers. So I hope you enjoyed learning about these 5 food groups and see if you can eat something from each food group every day. So Skylar, something smells good. Is that pizza ready?
To cut a hot pizza, you're going to want to use a long knife like this and a large cutting board. If you've got a pizza cutter at home, one of those round ones that rolls, perfect, use that. I don't have one of those here at home, and most people don't. So I'm going to use my knife. To do it safely, I'm going to put my left hand over the top of the knife like this and do one cut like that. See? Turn it all the way across like that. And you've got a nicely cut pizza. Comes apart.
Thanks, Chef Skylar. This was such a great recipe, and I'm so glad we all got to learn how to be chefs and make our veggie pizza. Thanks, everybody. Can't wait to see you next time.
I had a great time cooking pizza with you today, and I hope you enjoyed being chefs with me. and I can't wait to see you again next time.